Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of B is for Build. I'm Chris, and in today's episode, we're gonna be designing our roll cage and figuring out our drive shaft solution. We're gonna figure out exactly what we're doing with that thing. Getting a game plan for cages and shafts. Stay tuned. All right, I'm down here in the Twitch stream in the lab because it's where my printer is, right over there. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a couple images from yesterday's video, print them off so we can take them down to the drive shaft and consult with an expert about what we're gonna do. Sounds smart, right? I don't know why I've never done this before. All right, so we got this one, and this one. Hello. Where would you be if you were a color ink cartridge for the printer?
Right next to the printer on the right corner.
There's an empty black.
Oh, okay then.
Printers are overrated. Loaded my laptop up with all the images, so we're ready to go. Gonna try and get down to the drive shaft shop before traffic sets in. Only small problem is I don't remember where it is, but I think I'll be able to like figure it out. I'm just gonna drive into the neighborhood and see if it shows up. All right, I found it. So I'm gonna head on in there. I'm gonna show him the pictures and see what he thinks. I'm not gonna bring the camera because it's a bit odd to just start jamming cameras in people's faces when you're having conversations with them. But I will, I'll get his input and what he thinks a good strategy is, and I'll let you guys know all about it as soon as I get out. So this is about what we need. We'll just connect over here, go down, carry a couple thousand horsepower right to here. Perfect. It's pretty much bolt on. I think it's even the right length. All right guys, back. So I was able to meet with Brian. Now Brian is an awesome guy, and he's the one that saved our butt with the BRZ drive shaft the last time when that whole debacle. He totally saved us, because I don't know if you guys remember, but I sliced the pin off of the transmission near the guibo. Yeah, it was a mess. He rescued us there. So this time, obviously we went straight back to him before I started cutting anything up to ask him about the situation we're in. And it looks like there is relatively easy solution. As long as we take our time, we order the parts that we need, and we manufacture the thing correctly, we're gonna be all good. I'll explain it more when we get back home. All right, we're back home. So let's go ahead and just jump into the computer. It'll be a lot easier to show you what I'm talking about on there. And then from there, we can go straight into designing our roll cage, which is what we're gonna do next. All right, so taking a look at this, what we have to do is go from the transmission right here, obviously, to the differential right here. And then remember, the differential is scooted over like 2 inches, and the transmission is up by 1 inch. So that's why, one of the reasons I wanted to go talk to Brian right away before we started any welding or any more designing. And my hunch was correct. We don't need to move the rear differential at all. We don't need to move the transmission at all. There is a way that we can work around this stuff. So we need to go from the rear differential, which we already have as part of our drive line, right? That's the wrong program. Right here, that connects onto the rear differential right there. And then that has what's called a CV on it. So this is a flexible joint right here. And then that we're going to want to run towards the guibo up front. So now we have two options of the ways to do this. We can run a CV to an adapter on the guibo right here, or it's also often called a flex plate. And so here is a flex disc. It's flex disc right here. And then we could run an adapter like one of these, except none of these are actually made for my application. So we may have to machine something like we did last time. But so you got 3 holes right here. Those bolt up directly to the 3 holes right here. And then a centering pin and then a 4 bolt thing, which lets you then use a yoke, which is like this piece right here. So you would imagine you'd actually go, it would go basically from that piece to an adapter disc to one of those pieces just like this to straight shot to this. So that's one option. Also in the middle we'd put a slip yoke so the thing could get shorter and smaller, because Brian pointed out something that's interesting. So when it's in this 3-piece configuration, it's long like this, you undo these 2 things right here from the carrier bearing, the thing folds, and then it's able to pull itself out from the engine and the transmission. Once we shorten this thing up a ton and it goes straight from here to here, you don't have anything that compresses to be able to take it out of the car. You'd have to take the rear differential off of the car or take the transmission off and move them to get
get your piece out of there, which is really interesting. So then in the middle we'd put what's called a slip yoke, and then that would allow us to do that. We have one of those on the BRZ, and it works great too. So we can build a drive shaft that way. It can easily hold about 1,000 horsepower, or we could build it to whatever spec we need. And the two pieces being off-centered like that are no problem. The other option that I found is this guy right here. So this is a built to order drive shaft shop carbon fiber drive shaft with double CVs. So it has this piece right here. It has one on both ends, and it looks the same on both ends. I think it's actually just the same picture, closer and further away. And we could custom order this to length and throw it in there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is call Driveshaft shop tomorrow. They were closed already today, and talk to them about these adapter plates that they have here, because they don't provide any other type of adapter plates. Talk to them about these adapter plates, talk to them about this system, talk to them about the double CV. But we have two solutions right now. One of them is probably not going to cost $1,700, and the other one, well, it will cost $1,700. So rather, whether or not we do it this way with the shortened version of something like this and an adapter plate on the end, or if we do it you know, like this and just straight up order it, that will be the question. I also need to ask them about how this connects into the car, because when we shorten it a lot, we don't really have as much play room to be able to pop that in and out. But worst case scenario is we end up with a $1,700 one-piece carbon fiber drive shaft, and that would be fancy as hell. All right, let's move on to the roll cage. All right, let's open up the Z in 3D Studio Max. A lot of people asked me what software that was, 3D Studio Max, and we'll start designing the roll cage. Okay, so here is our Z, and we have a roll cage in it right now, and we have frame rails in it right now, but they aren't really to scale for the build. So let me go ahead and take some time. I'm going to peel away some of the stuff that we don't really need to be spending time looking at too much right now, and also start to reset. Oh, it looks like we got some old engine mounts in here. I'm going to reset kind of the frame rail positioning so it matches what we have right now. Got our frame rails modified to match up what the car actually looks like now. We have the 31 inches apart. I don't know why we had them set at 35 for a while, but anyways, 31 inches apart. Reset the positioning within the body orientation, so it's exactly the same as where the bend starts, and change the bend angle so it's not as dramatic. It more represents real life, which is this back piece is 1.5 inches higher than this lower piece, and they are the same height inside the car as they are right now, if that makes any sense, which is pretty, I mean, well, it's important. So this is a really good starting point, but then I also would like to see a representation of our rear strut towers in here. So that's what I'm going to build next. I'm going to build the two rear strut towers right here and here. Alright, we got both the strut towers in the car. That's something I really wanted to have in there so we could tie the cage into it well. So the next thing that I want to look at is our main hoop. That's the bar that goes over my head, and in this one it's got this weird kink right here, and I don't know why. So I'm going to start building kind of emulating whatever roll cage parts. The way I'm going to do this though is for anything that's a bend, since it's just, in my opinion, kind of a waste of time to try and 3D visualize the bends, I'm just going to use, I'm just going to connect two pieces of pipe at like a 90-degree angle or a 45 or something like that, rather than like trying to bend the 3D model. It'll just be a lot faster to model that way. So I'm going to go ahead and redo the main hoop so we could figure out where that goes, and I'd like to have it land exactly where it did, where it does right now in the car, even though it's not welded in there, but where it was test fit in the car. So I'm going to try and see if we can get that to land there, and that will be where we start building off of. Okay, we got the main hoop in the rear. Let me show you that. And I've gotten rid of a lot of, well, I didn't get rid of it. I threw it up in the sky. A lot of the stuff that we're not using right now or that was old. So this is exactly how our main hoop is. It's one solid piece that has no other bends in it other than these ones. So now the question is, how do we support this going into the rear to have the most stability? And I got a bunch of ideas going through my head all at once of like different things that could be done and stuff like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw down one of them, disregarding any logic or anything else like that that makes me want to not do it. And let's just see what it looks like. So doing something like this would support the crap out of this main hoop. In the case of an accident and just for keeping the car rigid, this would do a lot of really good things, tying it into the strut towers and then tying it into the frame rails as well. Here's my concerns about it. Rearview mirror is trying to look out the rearview window. You got a wing, a ducktail right here, a wing on top of that most likely. You got the strut towers protruding out right here. Most likely window louvers right here, a small back hatch, and then what we're adding into it is 1, 2, 3, 4 bars that are in your line of sight and definitely blocking your rear quarter view as well. That's an issue. Visibility, it's a visibility killer, as well as fitting the fuel cell right here. I mean, the fuel cell could go further back. Remember, the frame rails obviously go to the end of the car. So I'm thinking the fuel cell might not be as big of an issue, but it could become an issue with this model. But I think it's good. Oh, and keep in mind that there's going to be a strut tower brace that goes across here as well. So yeah, real hard to see unless I'm looking through this hole right here, which may be the case, which would be pretty sweet. Maybe this is a really great idea. But I like it. So I think we're going to stick with that. But this does let me know that we need to make sure that we leave a spot for the fuel cell before we start fabricating all of this stuff. All right, next step. How does the main hoop actually connect to the main frame rails? Where are we going to dive down? How far are we going to go down? How is that going to connect to the body? Let's answer all those questions now. Okay, so this is how we're going to handle the frame rails dropping down. We're going to connect in the spot where they already kind of bend up, and we have that plate there. We have a plate welding in there and connecting to our straight piece. We're going to connect in right there. We're going to dive down, and then we're going to connect into another straight piece that's going to run along here at about this distance lower than the current one. So I can measure that and bring that over in real life. But also, really the metric of where I'm measuring this off of is the bottom of the body. So I want the rails, when this thing is level, which this is not the right view, this is the right view, this is the body, this is the rail. I want the rail to run about 1 inch underneath the body, 1 to 1.5 inches underneath the body. It's a 3-inch rail, so I'll pretty much just center it on there. Reason being, we have an engine and a transmission that both sit lower than the body. So in the event of us hitting like a pothole or a bump or something where we have an uneven thing in it and it flies up, I can't have it hit the transmission or the bottom of the oil pan of the engine. I want that frame rail to be there to block it. As well as you get the benefit of then having the seat position in the car lower. So which is something we're really like striving for is room in here in the cabin. So we're going to do it like that. And then from where that join happens right there, we're going to have a piece of steel, the same diameter, same material of steel that comes off to the side that connects up to the body. Now the body you guys have seen in the videos, it's not just one piece of thin sheet metal like this. It actually has a boxed off rail right here that runs the whole distance of it. So we'll put a nice beefy plate on there with a lot of surface area, and that'll tie into this guy right here, which will then support or be our mounting point for the main hoop of the roll bar. And then from here, I don't know what we're going to do in the middle. Another thing to think about though is we are doing a wide body kit on this car, and the wide body kit calls for radiusing out this area right here. So this may get in the way, but I can't imagine running a wheel that's going to be that large. But it's something to think about. So we may have to, in the worst case scenario, is take this and kind of rotate it like a 45 a little bit and kind of come at it like that. But I really don't want to do that if we don't have to. It'll be stronger the other way. So that is going to be like that. And the next thing is we need to figure out how we're going to tie in the A-pillars and the roof bar and the rest of the stuff going under the windshield. But it's time for trivia. You guys know it's Thursday. It's trivia day. So I'm gonna let's go to trivia. I'm obviously gonna bring you guys along. We'll go to trivia, and then when we come back, we'll design with a couple more beers in us. Chelsea, we gotta go to this. It's hosted by Carlos the Rollerblader. It's game on time. Only problem, our team has not arrived. Me and Chelsea versus all. See how this goes.
Bonus question time. What med school exam is about 7.5 hours worth of multiple choice questions? MCAT is correct. Also known as fourth place. Dynamite Goats!
Alright, we're back from trivia. That was a lot of fun, but I got a lot of work left to do, so I'm going to get to it. I want to start building out some of the pieces that I've had provided with the kit. So right here we have what's called, I think it's called a halo bar. It's a U-shaped bar that you weld into the main hoop, and that provides kind of that circular shape above your head. And then from there we have the downward A-pillar bars. So I want to build those out, connect this thing up and connect that up to what we just built out. And then start looking at the other things that we know we've like had provided with the kit and get those all built out into this thing. We added in our top halo bar, our A-pillar bars. Now this is like a one-piece bar that is pre-bent for me. That's coming down right here. Top halo bar, and then I added in a dash bar, but you know that is really just like a rough guess. We're gonna try and mimic whatever the BMW has in place there to hold the dashboard. The dashboard is going to be an incredibly challenging thing to fit into this car anyways, so whatever it takes is kind of what we're going to do. From there, the schematics also call for, let me drag them into view here a little bit. They call for some support bars coming down from the sides off of the A-pillar bar into the main frame rail, which I'm not really going to mock up here because it doesn't really do us any good, but that's definitely part of the plan. Is we'll plan on, you know, cross supporting this thing. So from here to here, or if you want to look at it from the front, it's here to here. We can add those in as well, but it's really not going to change much to our design. The idea, though, is basically that the way I see it right now is the body is going to attach, kind of jumping subjects, though, the body is going to attach right here on the rail, here, 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 and here to the chassis. In the back, these will extend out to attach, and then we'll have a bash bar back here, and then on the roof it'll attach here and here. On the A-pillar it's going to attach there and there, and that should be enough body point attachments, I believe, as well as we can add a piece of tubing through here. So the next thing I want to do is is door bars. So the schematics call for this crisscross pattern going right from through here and through here, which I really don't like because it's super hard to get. If you've ever tried to get into a car that has that, it's really, really hard to get in. So I'm going to do some kind of different style door bars that kind of come out and wrap through, and we'll see what I can come up with. Alright, there's the plan for the door bar. So once we get our tubing bender in, I'll go ahead and bend up a couple tubes, because these aren't going to be included with our kit at all, that go from our main hoop to our A-pillar, and they're going to bend out towards the door as far as I can go to the door, and then straight shot, and then one lower and one higher. And those, I feel like, will make it a lot easier to step over to get into the car, which is important for me. Like, I don't want to have this be like some full-on race car that we can't get in and out of. So I think that those will do the trick for protecting us in the event of an accident, because you're going to have not only the car's pillar here, you're going to have these two posts here, then you'll have these two things guarding you here, as well as the door, which that's actually like a lot more than the standard car would have. but they'll also be able, like, a little bit easier to step through and step into. So let me go ahead and remove the body and the windshield, and I think that's it, guys. That is the design for our roll cage.
All right, guys, I think that's what I'm gonna call this one. I am thoroughly exhausted, but we got the roll cage design today. We got the frame rail dive down section figured out today, and we got the drive shaft figured out today. Good news on all three of those fronts. Also, behind the scenes, the insurance stuff has finally basically been figured out, and I will let you know about that tomorrow. And tomorrow, back in the shop and gonna start making some of this stuff a reality. So I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching today. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you then. Peace!